ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NJPW Puroresu Review. I am your co-host, Andre C., and right here to my right on the screen, I guess whatever direction I'm pointing in real life, is my co-host, Melball. How you doing, Melball?
I'm somewhere over here. I'm doing fantastic today, Andre. It is a fantastic week. We have taken in a lot of wrestling in this last week.
And we got a lot more to go, and because this is only our first episode for this week of 3. We are going to be dropping 3 matches covering 3 tournaments. It's going to be crazy.
We have a lot of wrestling to do. I don't think we should delay any further, sir. Let's get into it.
So before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Rogue Energy, our sponsor down in the bottom right hand corner. Scan the QR code and use the code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. Thanks to our friends over at our local establishment. So from there, we are here to talk about the World Tag League and the Super Junior Tag League. This is a big tournament. I am very excited for these tournaments every year. I think this is the most excited I've been for a tag league in a lot of years because there's a lot of new teams in both the Heavyweight Tag League and the Super Junior Tag League. It's making me excited.
I have to agree. Some of these combinations at first when we were previewing them, I was like, Tom Nakano, I don't think so. But I don't know about you, man, but I've been very pleasantly surprised in these first couple of nights, and man, like we got a lot to talk about.
We very much do. So we're going to kick it off with night 1 with Mel's pick from the first night of the Super Junior Tag League, and that is Kushida, Kevin Knight taking on who, as I've dubbed them, the Knights of Time, taking on Alex Zayne and El Lindaman, the Sauce Bros.
Is that what they're calling themselves?
I'm calling them that. Again, that's another me. I'm calling them the Sauce Bros. So,
hey, I mean, you can't complain when you got like a person who just names all of their stuff after Taco Bell. I mean, just a person after my own heart because I love tacos myself. That being said, like, first of all, we got to shout out. Both of us have noticed the insane drop kick that Kevin Knight seems to have here. That is just utterly insane. To be able to drop kick. I think we saw him actually sitting on someone on blah, blah, blah. Get this out.
At the historic show, somebody had someone on the shows, and he drop kicked them off the person's shoulder. That's a higher drop kick than Okada, who has the highest drop kick in the company.
I'm telling you, Okada, they got to have a drop kick off. See who can drop kick the highest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Kushida and Alex Zayne actually starting off with some very good chain wrestling at the beginning of this match, which is actually not something I feel that I'm super used to seeing with Alex Zayne. So this was actually a really nice change for me and a nice starting pace. Again, not usually what I expect out of him, but really, really impressive to see almost that Great O'Khan kind of style adaptability in his in-ring work. They like to bite a lot. They like to think that everybody seems to be covered in sauce. Maybe that's what sweat is to them. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's just they did like a bite to bite. There was just all the biting was just crazy.
There was a lot of nom happening and not a lot of full bellies happening because of that, treating Kevin Knight's finger like a little taquito there.
Yeah.
Even Lindaman taking his mouth guard out to start biting in on it. I was a little weirded out, but obviously we're not terribly concerned about COVID under there right now.
Well, these guys are being tested, so yeah.
Hey, I mean, and if they think it's safe, I mean, we can get into later what's going on with these guys. The double team by Kushida and Knight on Lindaman was absolutely fantastic, where Kevin Knight finished up with a massive splash. And I just got to say that it's fun when Knight and Zayne are in the ring together because they look the same height, they look the same build. It's almost a little laughable when he's standing across from someone like Kushida or even standing next to El Lindaman, his own partner.
Such a difference, man.
Such a size difference. But you know what? I mean, he uses his size to his advantage, and don't let anyone tell you that because you're taller or longer, ganglier, you're going to be a little bit slower. This guy has impressed me with the amount of speed that he can have, even over someone smaller and compact like Kushida.
Very much so.
There was a very, very smart lineup that Zayne did with Knight against Kushida's submission. a drop kick from Knight to the chest of Zayne, who was on Kushida's shoulders, but
Mhm.
Lindaman deadlifting him off of Zayne to break up the pin and then feeding Kushida one also. It's just the strength, the absolute power that Lindaman has. He doesn't have to do the aerials, he doesn't have to do dives. He just pure wrestles. He's a breath of fresh air to me. I
Yeah, that
absolutely
that
love this
drop kick
guy.
spot though for Kevin, I literally wrote Kevin's drop kicks are insane. But
Insane.
it's crazy how high he can kick. It's
Mhm.
just insane.
Insane.
Mhm.
Ah, wrestling fun.
Yeah.
At the end, though, Zayne pulling off of his finisher, Cinnamon Twist on Kevin Knight to pick up that pin. What a way to start the Super Junior Tag League
Oh,
off with a bang.
yeah, that was it. It was a banger of an opener. This was one of
Mhm.
three matches I was thinking about declaring my pick, but you had messaged me, you wanted this one. I was like, that's fine. I had two others, and I picked the one I thought just stood out to me the
Perfect.
most. But man, like I was super impressed. Kushida, like I know he came back for a little bit earlier on, but this is I think Kushida's return to form, really showing what made him a superstar in New Japan all those years ago before he left, and what WWE wasted by not pushing him when he was there. So like, and Kevin Knight, I'm going to be so impressed with this kid going forward because I think he's got all the tools to be a star, a very great American star for them. And then Alex Zane, I've been watching for a while now with in other companies and stuff. So good. And then the limited stuff I've seen of Lindaman, like just I love the way Lindaman and Alex Zane work together because it doesn't seem like they should, but they have a history. They did team together in Glee, so it doesn't seem like they should work, but they do. And it's the same thing to be said about Kevin and Kushida. It doesn't seem like they should work together, but they do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of like almost interesting mix of styling with that kind of wildness that Zane usually has, the kind of confinement of Lindemann. It's almost like Kushida and Knight are the same way. You have that one person who makes up for the faults of the other, and vice versa.
Yeah, very much so.
Hmm.
So from here, we are going to move on to the second match of the evening as the team of Wild Hips, I had the wrong. Wild Hips, Clark Connors, and Ryusuke Taguchi taking on Suzuki Guns, Douki, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. See, I got it right. I said it right. Honestly, I had a really good time with the match. Like Taguchi is always a fun guy to watch, but the one thing I got to say is it's really weird the fact that this man was in a blood feud with the current Finn Balor at one point, and now he's a giant goof. So, but that's just my brain. Yeah, but in the end, Clark Connors hit the Wild Rhino Spear and the Blue Thunder Bomb, and he got the win for his team, the Wild Hips, who got 2 points out of that win.
Hmm. This was a battle of the hair for me. I mean, you got Douki, who arguably has some of the most luxurious hair in NJPW, and then you have Clark Connors coming in with this like cowboy windstruck kind of thing. Girl, I don't know what to
I
do about
I
that one.
I did appreciate the matching entrance gear for Wild Hips. I did really
Mhm.
appreciate they both
Mhm.
rolled the hat, and did Taguchi have the jacket in this one? Yeah,
Yes.
he had
Yes.
the jacket too. I
Mhm.
did like that they matched. That was a big like yes. The gear once you're in the match weren't the matching, but at least you had some uniformity coming out as a team. So I really did like that.
100%. The
Yeah.
only thing that I wanted to point out about this thing that is something I did not like, but is still utterly hilarious to me, and I will allow it to still happen. The Brazilian lap dance that Taguchi does, and that is the where the ankles are on the shoulders, and he pulls you into his butthole to kiss his little
That
chocolate
was literally in
starfish.
like the first 2 minutes of the match. Or
Yeah,
the
that's
first few
called
minutes, I wrote,
Brazilian
let's put
lap
about.
dance.
I've never heard it called that, but it's interesting.
So I don't know the Taguchi Brazilian. I don't know. I don't know if I can get behind that, but it's
I don't know if I can get
hilarious
the
to
word.
watch.
I can't get behind the words Taguchi Brazilian, but moving on, we are going to move on to the third match of the evening, and that was the team of Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagles, and Tiger Mask taking on the House of Torturers, Dick Togo and Show. I will say this. I was liking Dick Togo and Show for a little while there in the match until crap happened at the end, which it always does. They keep doing, like, they keep pulling the bull crap of having Yujiro and Evil, and it's just but in the end, Eagles, Tiger Mask, they get the win. And Robbie Eagles applied the Ron Miller special to Togo, and Togo taps out. I think the right person to tap out in this match, because I think shows the person, even in losses, you still need to protect him and you need to build this guy because he will be a star despite House of Torture.
I have to agree. I also was invested in this match. I actually was really enjoying this match because despite the shenanigans that House of Torture is always used to, the beginning part of this match was actually like, it made sense and it worked. I was actually really enjoying it until Evil emerged and things just went downhill from there. What I will say about this match, my favorite part of it was finally hearing the crowd, because I think this was the first time fully that House of Torture got to hear exactly what the crowd thought of them. And they did not get to have the ability to just do whatever they want because they can't hear the dissatisfaction. You could see there was a little bit of a difference in some of the facial expressions of them as they're sitting there like, wow, we're they don't like us. So that's the only thing I'm going to say about this match. I loved it. I loved hearing the crowd again, and I loved how much all of these guys were actually playing to the crowd at certain points of every match.
Yeah, I thought it a very good match, despite what happened later on. I think Togo and Show did have a good showing, and Flying Tiger, former junior tag champs, they always look good together, and I'm glad these two came back together for this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to change it up. I'm going to choose this as my pick for tonight, actually, because it was between the one you picked, this one, and the main event. I'm going to go with this one actually because of choice I have for the second night of the Super Junior Tag League, but I want to highlight this match because Chris Bay and Ace Austin. I've met Ace Austin, absolutely wonderful human being. When I got to meet him here at RCW, but just the sheer ability out of both those men is incredible, and the fact that they have been teaming regularly on Impact for the last 6 months since Ace Austin came back as from the best of Super Juniors, and when he joined Bullet Club, I think that was the perfect thing because it gave Chris Bay a great tag team partner to work with in Impact, and I think it really got them ready for this tournament and had both men, I think, in the right way so they knew the moves they were going to do together, everything like that. And then Bushi and Teton. Oh my, absolutely phenomenal. Like I was kind of poo-pooing on Teton when he showed up. I think it was more of just me trying to bug Mel. But I absolutely am impressed by this man. Like just the sheer abilities this man has, just it's almost impossible the way that the hops and the dives that he does. It almost seems impossible, but it's the beautiful, like, just athleticism of all these people. And just I am absolutely blown away by this match. If you like, for me personally, if you're going to watch any match from tonight, I think it's just the style of these guys and the fact that Bushi and Teton have only been teaming together for a month now. Mm-hmm. Just the flow they had together, and then the flow that Ace Austin and Chris Bay had. It's just there's so much in this match. Mm-hmm. Like there was this really great spot where Bushi got this like beautiful but just really odd head scissors on Ace Austin, and Ace Austin just kind of goes weirdly falling over. It didn't look bad. It looked like, oh, this guy's really effed up by this move, and it's just the moonsault. The moonsaults from Chris Bay are just great. There's a moonsault leg drop combo they have. They just look so smooth when they hit it together. It's like when Bay does the moonsault, and Ace does the leg drop, and they hit it. Like, it's almost in perfect timing when they hit. It's just wonderful. And then Teton, just his again, like I said, he has this like beautiful like springboard cross body, and just it looked so seamless, so effortless the way he does anything. The acai moonsault onto the floor, onto both members of Bullet Club. Like, it was just so smooth. Like, just all these guys are absolutely so good. In the end, Ace Austin got a spin kick, and then his it's a somersault neck breaker, which he calls the fold, and then Chris Bay hits what he calls the art of the finesse, which is a launch off of Ace Austin into an Oz cutter for the win. And just absolutely wonderful match.
Something that I did notice, I actually really enjoyed this match. I did notice Teton was in the ring a lot more than Bushi in this one. And I think that was a very good choice. I thought that he showcased both Austin and Bay very well. My one complaint is specifically with Bay. I really like his athleticism. I really like the moves he does. But I think that he's still finding his footing in the New Japan ring, where he doesn't. There's points where it looks like he's not quite laying in, where someone like Austin has come in and then shown him kind of how to do it. So I am noticing almost like a leadership kind of role that Ace is taking with Bay. That being said, they are working very well together. I am impressed with how they're doing. I wasn't expecting them to pick up this win, particularly because Bushi and Teton had just faced the IWGP champions. But I ain't mad about it because this match was actually very good.
And I think giving Ace Austin and Chris Bay the win here made a lot of sense, because you're giving the two, you're establishing one guy who's only been here for one tournament before, and you're also giving this brand new person in Chris Bay, like, you're putting them on a pedestal, showing we are behind these people. Not to say, because Teton's only pretty new, but he's had a couple matches in the company. He's got a win or two. So you've given him. So I think Chris Bay and Ace Austin needed this coming into this as a brand new team that this company isn't very familiar with, versus Bushi and Teton, who they've been seeing for about a month and change now.
And Teton also has been somebody who's come over the years in the Fantastica Mania tours consistently with CMLL and their little exchange. So the crowd does sort of know a bit about him. But also Bushi, he's been around a hot minute. I mean, he is a veteran in the ring. Who better to showcase the new guys in the company than two very experienced veterans?
Very much so. But from here, we're going to move on to what was my pick, but I did change it up. The main event of the evening is the tag team from Chaos. You have Yo and Leo Rush versus Yo and Leo, but and taking on from the United Empire, the team of Catch 22 or Catch 22. I'm not sure exactly how it's called, but I'm just gonna call them Catch 22. TJP, Francesco, Akira. Again, absolutely bonkers match. This is the match I took the most notes for, because Lewis had the most, I think, of just the craziness in it. Just again, the kicks, the punches, the flips, the flying, the everything from all these people is just insanity, except for one spot, which I'm calling the chaos roll, which is Yo and Leo do this like roll where they're using each other to roll, and it just kind of flopped out at the end, and Leo just stands up and goes, ha! And Leo just had to kind of stand up and just go, ha! And I will say in their second match, they did successfully hit it, but the ha out was just it's killed me. I'm like, are you serious? Because you can see him, because you hear him like go huh, as he jumps, but to me it just comes off as ha, because it was just such a pathetic like jump forward.
Oh goodness,
dude, it was brutal, but absolutely phenomenal. Outside of that one spot, these guys just killed the turns, the quickness of Leo Rush, where he's running the ropes and then he like right turns and goes to the other rope. It's just bonkers, this guy's
Mhm.
abilities. And if not for some personal shit he's had in the past, this guy would be at different levels. And I don't know if it was just be here or in other places, but gosh dang, he's so good. But in the end, Leo, Rush, and Yo go for 3K, but Francesco Akira did interfere, and TJP gets a jackknife pin on I think it was on Yo to get the win.
Mhm.
And kind of it was like an out of nowhere win for Catch 22. And I thought kind of a great way because it's showing you even in Leo and Yo's loss, they look like they took the champions to the limit because the champions had to just pull a jackknife out of nowhere to get this win. They couldn't get it out their normal way. So I thought great way to finish it.
I have to agree. I only have two things to add on to that. And the first thing is, again, back to the crowd. How hot was this crowd? Actually, I got three things.
For everybody.
How hot was this crowd?
For everybody in this match.
TJP.
Leo, too. Like, they were chanting
goodness.
Leo like crazy.
They were. But during that United Empire intro, man, you could hear all the fangirls. TJ. Yeah, I loved it. It was nice to hear him getting the love. The second thing is how dapper. Like, we usually hate on Gideon a little bit, but like he looked pretty dapper in a suit.
He cleaned it up quite nicely. I would say that. So he did it. He again, the face is still an issue, but it's. I shouldn't talk though. Come on, but. He cleans up nicely when he wants to look the right part. He cleans up nicely.
There you go.
But again, he's not wearing unlike at the November 20th show, he wasn't wearing his gear under a jacket. So I think putting it all together made it look a lot better.
Very much so. And the third and final thing I wanted to add is it was nice to see Yo throw a splash of color into his ensemble by wearing a gray jacket instead of a white one.
So just quickly, Francesco Akira, TJP, Chris Bay, Austin, Flying Tiger, Wild Hips, and L. Lindaman and Zayne all with 2 points, and the rest of the teams with 0 points after the first name. I'm just going to get that out of the way very quickly. Save that. And then we're going to move on. Oops, I got the wrong screen up here, and I want that one. So we're moving on to the first night of the World Tag League, and that is coming out with the first match of the evening. It is Gabriel Kidd and Alice Coughlin from the LA Dojo taking on one of my favorite tag teams of all time, TMDKs, Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and this is my pick for the night because this was, to me, amazing opener. Gabriel Kidd, the athleticism on this dude is absolutely incredible, but Alex Coughlin, he is a cyborg. The power, the pure strength this man has is crazy. Just to see everything that they do, like just showing the power dominance he had over everyone in this match, both Team BK. Even when they tried to double team him at times, he was fighting them off. It was just absolutely insane. The chops from Coughlin, holy, like they sounded like gunshots were going off in the arena at times. But there was a great spot. Hayes hit this European uppercut, and then Nichols hits the backdrop with it, it picks it up for the backdrop, and Hayes comes out with the neck breaker. It's just the symmetry of this tag team who spent years in Noah, years in Australia teaming together, spent a good 2-3 years in NXT teaming together, and then Nichols left. The team broke up, and they spent almost 3 years not working together, and then to come back and flow this well together, it's just the smoothest. And then Coughlin and Kidd working together as well as they did. Again, they have a lot of time training together, so I think that is a big part of it. They spent all that time in the LA dojo together, so you get that camaraderie, you get that ability to work together. I think from training and knowing each other, because that amount of times they battled each other as young men. It's like you got to think about that. They really work together well, and just again, Gabriel Kidd, perfect SA moonsault to the outside. Like again, the SA moonsault coming up, but it's just it looked like so clean as he does it. Not quite as clean as Tetons, but I almost said Titan, but it's about the same way. But he looks so good. But again, and Gabriel Kidd has so much more experience from before he got into New Japan. So that's a big plus on him. But yeah, the end of this match did come. Oh, sorry, one more before Coughlin goes to powerbomb Kid onto Haste, like because he had put Haste down, or Kid had put Haste down, and he goes to powerbomb, and then Haste just rolls out of the way. I just laughed so hard when he did when it happened. I'm like, because like Haste rolled out of the way, and it was about 3 or 4 seconds before he powerbombed, but he couldn't see because he literally had his partner in his face. So him still powerbombing him made so much sense in that moment, and even Chris Charlton pointed it out. It's like he can't see, so much like so. It really made a lot of sense that he still powerbombed his partner onto the mat in that situation. But a move where you're going to powerbomb your partner is always a big risk. So in the end, TMDK hit the tag buster, which is I think a move from the New Day, where it's the big ending and the DDT combo off the ropes, and then I think it's and then they hit the Thunder Valley on Gabriel Kidd and got the win. Like, oh, man, I couldn't ask for anything more after watching these two TMDK in the strong openweight tag team tournament. I was absolutely ecstatic for them to be teaming together again. And when they got announced for this tournament, I was so happy and absolutely blown away by this match.
Yeah, I actually have nothing to add. You pretty much took, like, I didn't have a lot of notes on this one. You said
sorry.
No, this is good. That means that I can point on that stunning moustache on Mr. Coughlin's face. That Very is nice. A well taken care of moustache. But I do have to say, I do appreciate the aesthetic changes that we've seen in both Gabriel Kidd and Coughlin, both changing their trunks up a bit. Gabe Kidd's kind of got that reverse skunk head going on now.
I don't care for this reverse skunk head he's got, but
hey, if he starts acting like Seth Rollins, I'm not going to complain about that. We could use another reckless heel in this company. But then Coughlin, I really like the mask that he comes out with. Very reminiscent of
I think it's supposed to be like an android mask or something. I think is more.
Yeah, it reminds me. Who was the guy who we just saw take on? Oh no, I saw him take on Omen in the casket match. There's Giant Orion, and who is the other one?
It's I can't remember his name. It's just it's generic name too. And again, nothing against the guy, but he's got a generic. I can't remember, but yeah, the Destroyer or something, yeah, something like that. But yeah, I don't.
Raiden.
I can't. Raiden the Destroyer. That's it.
Raiden. It was a very similar mask to Raiden, who we have here, except for he wrestles in the mask. He Coughlin takes the mask off, so we can see that has some handsome mustache. But that's all I got to say about this one.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the next match of the evening, and this is the other match that I was considering picking as my highlight match, and again, I've warmed up to Bad Luck Fale in the last 5 months or so, especially with watching all of his stuff, his motivational stuff going on online.
He's our life coach now.
But I actually thought he was kept very limited in this match, and I think that was the best. He came in, hit the big spots he needed to hit, and got the outlet. Chase Owens do what he needed to do in the ring. And I had such a good time. I thought, Suzuki Gun was insanely over. I think Archer more than Suzuki. Archer was, I think, the most over person in this match by a long shot. Absolutely just phenomenal. And, and he beating up young boys again. They literally were beating up a young boy in the middle of the match. Come on. But I thought absolutely fun match to watch. And Owens goes up the top, but Suzuki ends up getting behind him and getting a sleeper on the top rope. Archer picked him up, hit the blackout, and Suzuki Gun gets the win in the first, and they get 2 points right off the hop.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love the in-ring work of Chase Owens. I love watching him perform, and I do really like the kind of seeming blueprint that him and Fale do seem to have, as you mentioned, where Fale takes the big hits. He's very limited. Chase is in there kind of showcasing himself a lot, and I appreciate that the most. This was actually the end of the match was what I actually found the most amusing, was when both Chase and Fale are trying to intimidate Alex Zayne on
Oh,
commentary, and
yeah.
Zayne's not having it. I mean, he's bigger. No
Oh, it's
offense
so
to Chase
good.
Owens, because Chase Owens is making tons of gains right now. But Alex Zayne is a lot taller and a lot bigger. You might have Fallen, but don't pick a fight with someone.
He's taller, but he's not bigger. Remember, he's still a junior.
Yeah, I'm starting to not believe that so much. But the adorable banter of Chris Charlton just sitting there going, sit, 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 was just absolutely.
Well, and it's the fact that I think it's the funniest fact to me is that it's literally the two co-hosts for Chris Charlton arguing with each other.
That's a very good point.
Because Chase Owens did a wonderful job on night one.
Yes.
Of the Super Juniors. So yeah, it's
and I don't think Alex Zayne was wearing shoes at this point either. Just worth.
No, I think he was just chilling in his seat, like just relaxing, kind of like
no shoes.
Almost like LP last year in the G1, just eating pizza.
I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't want to enjoy a slice of pizza at ringside with Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton. That kind of
just Chris Charlton. Yeah, no Kevin Kelly. Yeah, no Kevin Kelly, but yeah, I get you. Yeah, no Kevin Kelly, but yeah, I gotta commend the C trigger from Chase Owens. That knee strike, I've really warmed up to Chase Owens over this last year and a half and just how good I think he has just gotten over this last year and a half. Like he was really good for. Again, I've met the man briefly years ago when he was in town on a CWE tour. Got to ring announce him again. Big field for me. But I think he's I've always found him again, and I'm not a professional wrestler, but as a fan, I always kind of found him as an average wrestler. But this past year and a half, I've really seen him step up his game and really turn it up. And I think he's really shown what he can truly do and what his true potential is and it's only going to go up from here. And that C trigger though is just so smooth.
100%.
And we're going to move on to the semi-main, or is it semi-main? No. Oh, the third match of the evening. I'm getting ahead of myself. The team of Bishamon, Yoshi-Hashi, and Hirooki Goto against the House of Torch team that I can't stand in Yujiro and Evil. Because, again, it's all the bullcrap. But thank Christ, the Bishamon got that DVD and super kick combo, and they hit the rising GTS, or what they call the Shoto, which is the assisted GTS or assisted GTR, and they got the win. Again, there was some good stuff in this match, but the bullcrap really overwhelmed it for me, and it's just lots of show interference, lots of Togo interference. There was enough of it in the last one that it bothered me, but at least Togo and Show showed really good in-ring beforehand. Evil showed okay-ish stuff, and then Yujiro just slow and sucky as usual.
Yeah, I was not happy with this match because of the shenanigans. I will the first thing that I have written down here, I'm going to try to get through without laughing. Yoshi-Hashi's intro jacket looks like he is a child playing with his father's chest plate. Please don't. Again, my goodness, it was so poorly fit, but my goodness, was it so cool looking in comparison to his other gear. He just needs to get it looks like it should fit Jeff Cobb, but it's being worn by Yoshi-Hashi. Just get the seamstress to take it down like a foot on each side and you'll be good to go. You'll look fantastic. But his actual ring gear though, when he took off the ridiculous jacket, was some of the best gear I have personally ever seen him wear.
Him and Goto match properly now. Their gear has always been similar, but I think they match properly. That's what the new gear is. Yoshi-Hashi is literally wearing shorts now, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a short or something.
No, it was almost reminded me of a Julia's pants. You know how they're baggy a little bit, but then tucked into the boot. But I think
There
he
it is.
tucked them
That's it.
into the knee pad, so it
It looked
looks like shorts.
really good, but I thought
Yeah.
it matched Goto so nicely, and I think it's that
Mhm.
perfect flow of gear. Absolutely loved it. I
Mhm,
think the
mhm.
best part of this match was Goto and Yoshi-Hashi's gear, and then the finish.
Yeah, yeah, and I also had the point out. I had the question: where was Leo at the end of that when
He
Yo
rolled
had
in.
already hit the
He
ring?
got in
He
there.
did, but like, was he in the toilet and like Yo just
He,
went, "Oh
he
crap,
was
I'm
probably
leaving."
taking a piss, and then he went, "Oh crap! Give me a minute, yo! Try and hold him off." He did get out there. He
Little late
helped
to
him.
the
He did.
party. Little
Yeah.
late to the party. And of course, as usual, we have to Abe-san. No, Abe-san again being taken out
That's
by
just a
House
spot
of
I don't
Pleasure.
even want to talk about anymore because it happens in every evil match. It's like
Yeah.
he's doing a headlock. That's it. The Abe spot is literally a headlock in any evil
But
match.
poor Abe, the
Oh,
amount
I
of
feel bad
times
for the
that
guy,
he
but
is, yeah, the amount of times he's hit his head on the bleachers. Poor kid. Moving on from this torture.
we're gonna move on to the match of Team Bebop, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toru Yano taking on the team of from the United Empire, Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis. Again, the squats, the deep squats from Yano and Hiroshi Tanahashi were absolutely phenomenal. Just, I guess their whole gimmick, the Team Bebop thing, is based off like an anime or something. Or something. That's what Chris Charlton was saying. He said it had something to do with an anime or a TV show.
Is it maybe
I can't
Cowboy
remember.
Bebop? Considering they're
No,
both
it's
Bebop?
from it's like like high school something or high school bebop or something. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but it's based off some anime or TV show, and that they decided to be characters in that show themselves. Essentially, like Tanahashi with the slick back hair, that jacket he had on, not his normal jacket, and then even Toru Yano with the pompadour going on.
Mm-hmm.
Perfection. But I thought really fun match overall. I love myself some Aussie Open. Again, I've been a big supporter of them for a while. But the end of the match came with the sandwich clotheslines from Aussie Open, and then they hit Coriolis on Yano, and Fletcher gets the pinfall for the win.
Mm-hmm. I actually have nothing to add for that, except for Yano fought very, very hard in this match. And he did have a really, really great comeback at the end there, but unfortunately, that was right when that finish did come of finishing that match for him.
I think his teaming with Hiroshi Tanahashi will bring out the more, not the crazy, I'm going to stab you with scissors, Yano, but it's going to bring out, in my opinion, a very wrestling, more serious wrestler Yano. He did pull the corner, things like that. But he did have a lot more seriousness to him in this match than he usually does.
G1 Yano.
Even then, he's a little more of a goof than he was here. But main event of the evening, it's Mel's pick. It's the Los Ingobernables de Japón, Sonata, Tetsuya Naito, taking on the United Empire's Aaron Henare and the Great Okan, the brand new team of Aaron Henare and the Great Okan. Because Great Okan coming in without the Imperial weapon. This is an interesting situation for what this team's going to do. And I wrote a crap ton of notes for this. Holy shite.
Yeah, this was a good one. I'm just gonna chuckle at the picture here real quick. Everyone looks like they're pointing to where it hurts.
Except Henare, just like I'm just the boss.
I'm just constipated. That's Henare, is he's sitting there like the boss. But the spots at the beginning of this match with Tetsuya Naito with the Great Okan's book and antagonizing him with it, asking for an autograph, all this, I really enjoyed this. I love these kinds of mind games that Naito.
So Khan wrote a book. Was it about being the national hero? Is that what he wrote a book about? Like,
I mean, if you can, go for it. I don't know what his book was. We'll have to look it up and then put it in the description when we find it. But
I think it's just like Kent's book. You can't get it over here because it's just in Japanese. But yeah.
I mean, you can, but like I can't read it.
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't know. Again, we didn't have English commentary for. Oh no, I did.
No, we did. This is the last match.
So yeah. I don't recall why. I don't know why that book is. Anyway, the spots with it were utterly hilarious. Okan babying this book almost like it was a child and like reacting, as Naito's throwing it around like he was throwing his child. So I really enjoyed this because it was almost like a goofy spot within a very serious a match here. The When Hanare and Sonata finally got in, holy hecking crap! These guys had a really great back and forth. Hanare failing to put in the Paradise Lock, getting mad with Milano for not giving him the right coaching there. I mean, if you've watched Sonata's matches, it's pretty freaking easy to figure out, my dude. Just research a little bit more.
I've watched I've seen a vampire do it, so
Hey, I mean, he's had like almost a century to perfect it, though, right? Naito and Sonata double teaming on Hanare was absolutely seamless. Again, that just lack of communication required by Lij, going through the movements of what they need to do to set up the right move and the pin. I can't praise the great Okan, all hail, enough. Um, he is just so great, so great in ring. He adapts to everything. He has the ability to be serious. He has the ability to be goofy. He just has such an incredible range. I just wish he wasn't so weird in real life. um Sonata doing the chops and swing was amazing. But then that whole spot where he ends up falling face first into the great Okan's mini con, I just ah
the
it was
little
just
cons, as the
the
saying
mini
called,
con.
the little cons. Yeah,
Yeah, it did right in the Kanekis, man. I had a good chuckle at it though. Again, this was one of those things where it was a good comedic breakup. It was almost like a
yeah,
bit of a roller coaster, this match, where they had these moments
yeah.
of getting
But it was a good like up and down, not like an up
yeah,
and then you're like, oh. It was like,
it
okay, let us calm down, then
yeah.
oh, then let us calm down, then oh, then let us calm down.
Yeah, it was a good amount of energy given at the right amount of time for what it was that was happening in the match, and I was living for it. Um, Both of these teams supremely unified. You can see that there is a little bit of I wouldn't say like a lack of experience, but there's less camaraderie between Hanare and Okan. However, I feel they're still doing very, very
Oh,
well
very much.
tagging
Yeah,
together.
definitely.
Yeah. Sonata able to defend himself successfully against the double team to get Naito in. And of course, Naito always coming in with hair pulling and all that kind of Naito messery. It's usually there. This is usually, though, if you follow Naito as closely as I do, this is usually the blueprint where he starts to wind down the match, is when he starts to do the goofy
Hmm.
stuff later in the match. The match is probably going to wind down in at least the next 5 to 10 minutes if they're going that long. Um, Again, the double teams by Naito and Sonata are just absolutely seamless, absolutely amazing. Okan looks like he's now kind of like that guy who likes to steal people's shit, stealing the Mongolian chops and just adding a goat scream in there. And now he appears to have stolen the Muda's poison mist, attempting to mist. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. Was it in Sonata
Uh,
he was trying to
what
miss?
is it? Right, it was this was right at the end.
Yeah,
Khan
and
goes
then
to miss Naito, misses,
Naito,
and then
Hanare
and hits
instead,
Hanare. Then Naito got the DDT and
after
assisted with
hitting
like
not one but two Destinos, if I'm not mistaken.
well, he hit the casino early, then he hit the tornado DDT with the assist from Sonata, then hit
Mhm,
another Destino and got the
mhm.
win. So yeah.
Now the final thing that I have to say, and this is the part of the match that really just for me was just the lid on top of the jar that sealed it in and made this match absolutely perfect, and that was the Lij's sign off at the end of the show that got the members into the ring, which I believe Shingo was at ringside, so Shingo was also able to get in on the ring. But what gave me shivers, I'm even getting shivers thinking about it now, was the crowd finally being able to scream along with Naito, his like final sign out, which is something that the Japanese crowd absolutely like loves doing and that I love hearing. To hear it again for the first time in such a long time, again, it's giving me chills right now just thinking about it. That was
Yeah.
just the perfect 10 out of 10 for me.
I will admit I missed it because, again, I knew it was all going to be in Japanese and with a bit of Chris Charlton, but I was just like, nah, I'm not going to sit through this. Again, nothing against it. I couldn't sit through the Japanese speech. Yeah.
The only reason, honestly, that I had it going was because it was on the TV and I was doing something else.
There you go. So I'm going to go quickly over TMDK, Shane Hayes, Mikey Nichols, Lance Archer, Minoru Suzuki, Aussie Opens, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis, Bishimons, Yoshi-Hashi, and Hirooki Goto, and Sonata and Tetsuya Naito from LIJ, all with 2 points. The rest of the teams always 0 after the first night. Figured I'd quickly go over that.
Yes, yeah. While I pull up my notes for the next show.
And I'm pulling mine up right now, and I just pulled them up. So we're going to pop into the next show, and that is the second night of the Super Junior Tag League, and it starts out the night with the team of Kevin Knight and Kushida from I guess so that doesn't matter versus Dick Togo and Show from House of Torture. Again, not as much crap in this one, I guess, as much as before. Just still there. Yujiro trying to interfere, hits Togo, and Kushida end up taking out Evil and Yujiro off the apron. Kushida ends up hitting a bridging hammerlock suplex. I can't remember. I didn't write on who, but I think it was on Goto and got the win. So maybe I can't remember. I didn't write who he hit it on. But
Pin Dick is what I wrote down.
But the movie did that hammerlock. I thought he was going to go for hammerlock DDT, and then he did this. He suplexed it and held it and got the pin. I was like, oh, is this the new finish for Kushida? That's what I was wondering. Like because I haven't never seen him do a hammerlock suplex before, so I was very impressed by it.
I have nothing else to add to that except for I did notice Knight was in the ring a lot. He did very, very well to fend off the House of Torture guys. And I was actually very, very impressed with that.
Yeah, again, every time I see Kevin Knight, I know this kid is going to be a star. No, whether it's New Japan long term or if he ends up going somewhere else, this kid is going to be a star somewhere because he has the size, he has the ability. He's absolutely phenomenal. And then we move on to Mel's pick for the second night of the Super Junior tournament, and his team of Wild Hips, Clark Connors, Ryusuke Taguchi, taking on LIJ's Titan and Bushi.
What a fun match this was. Connors, this is, I think, this one didn't have English commentary. I don't feel.
No, this is the first night of non-live English commentary. There will be English commentary on all the shows going forward. But it will be done about 3 to 4 days later, just depending on Kevin Kelly's schedule at home, because he's going to be recording it as he watches it when we get some put up. So.
Yes, and you got that from Chris Charlton.
I did directly.
You're a bestie. Yeah, this match.
I wish.
This match was a lot of fun. Something I found very interesting, Taguchi is usually very goofy, and he's a very kind of typical, I wouldn't say North American style wrestler as opposed to strong style, but he does have a lot more kind of typical wrestling moves as opposed to strikes because he throws his butt around so much. But Taguchi really surprised me at the beginning of this match with Titan because Titan Bushi, they like that high speed. They like to pick things up. Taguchi keeping it very slow, very hard for Titan to start to pick up speed. I really enjoy the Irish whip spot that Taguchi and Connors do, where Connors just continuously whips Taguchi into the corner, pulls him out, whips him back, pulls him out.
The butt whip, as I like to call it.
Yes. The butt whip. I like it. We're gonna write that down. That's what that is called.
I have it typed down. The butt whip.
Oh, the butt whip. So continuing on here, Bushi serving some nasty chops. Very, very reminiscent of Akira's chops. Francesco Akira. He serves some pretty nasty chops in this division also. Lij really working on the arm and the thighs of Clark Connors. They know that he is a power problem in the powerhouse of Taguchi and Connors. With his lariat is insane. His spear is insane, and the moment that he can pull them off because of his speed, insane. Very very smart of Teton and Bushi to target those legs and to target the arm. That cannonball, oh sorry, Connor's cannonballing Taguchi's ass into Bushi. Just
It's
take a
good.
second to get that visual and then move on. The Tope con Hilo from Teton. I mean, the talent, as you mentioned earlier, is just oozing out of this guy. I
Yeah.
can't, every time I see him on the card, I'm like, yes, this is going to be great. But eventually, Bushi managing to pin Taguchi, and it was a
Their
merciful
finisher I
ending.
really liked. That
Yes,
MX and the MX from Bushi and then the double foot stomp from Teton. I love
100%.
simple, effective, and just it's a finish because the MX is Bushi's finish. And when I saw him in
Mm-hmm.
double stomp, I'm like, that's it. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what a win for these guys, and a strong one, especially after that first loss to the Ace Austin and Chris Bay there. You know, they really needed that kind of not reinvigoration, but like just a reminder that, yeah, that we hiccuped. It was okay.
Yeah, I thought absolutely wonderful from all these guys. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan. Like I said, of Clark Connors. I'm a big fan. I'm up and down on Taguchi depending on. I'm going to be a fan through this tournament because I think the way he's working right now, he's
Mm-hmm.
doing his bum stuff, but he's keeping it kind of serious. It's the bum IA man. Yeah, it's a big old steal from the guy that's in WB now.
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke,
Shinsuke, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work
We'll see
obviously
how
tonight.
you feel at the end of this and how much he's brought his butt out.
Yeah, but I had a lot of fun with this match. Simple as
Mhm.
that. A lot of
Mhm.
fun, and there was like a double bum IA at one point to Bushi.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
The double bum IA was great.
Flying butts everywhere.
Yeah, so we're gonna move on to the third match of the evening. I don't got a lot of notes for this one. It's Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagles, and Tiger Mask taking on Chaos's Leo Rush and Yo. I had a great time watching this. And again, Leo Rush, just that guy. I wish so many other things had worked out for this man because this man is so good. The mind this man has for professional wrestling is insane, and his ability is bar none one of the best. All these guys had a great spot. The ending stuff was there's a backstabber by Yo, and then the springboard stunner by Leo to Robbie, and it sends him out, and they go for 3K on Tiger Mask. They get him up, but Tiger like kind of punches Leo in the face, and they come down, but then they go right back to the 3K, and
Mhm.
they got the win and got the pin on. And Yo, I think it was Yo got the pin on Tiger Mask. Can't remember if it was Yo or Leo, but they got the win. Yeah.
Yes, Yo pitting Tiger Mask. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, there was a spot where Robbie missed the 450 splash, and I'm just like, ew. And then Leo just comes with an axe kick out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, nice. But yeah, I had a fun time watching this one.
I mean, performance-wise, I really enjoyed this match. Also, something that maybe I might be not appropriately picking up on was there seems to be some tension between the both of the teams, which is interesting considering they are sort of like Robbie Eagles is technically a part of Chaos. Tiger Mask, I believe he's a part of Hontai, but
He's the
Hontai,
main unit or Hontai, whatever you want to call
yeah,
it. Yeah,
but like Hontai and Chaos are kind of like not together,
aligned.
but
They're
they're like
aligned.
bed buddies to combat the Bullet Club,
Well, look at
essentially.
Tanahashi and Yano, right? So
Yeah, exactly. But like I felt like, you know, in a lot of matches when storytelling is kind of told properly, there's a clear heel and there's a clear face. In this match, based on their mannerisms and attitude, I perceived Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask as being the face, and I perceived Yo and Leo Rush as being the heels. I felt there was a little bit of maybe not necessarily I wouldn't say fakeness, but I would say that it's almost like a bad influence. Like Yo has always been this quiet little guy, always agreeable, always happy, coming out
But I
clapping
wouldn't
for
call
the
it,
intro.
yeah, but I wouldn't call that a bad influence for Yo because of how vanilla he's been. That influence is a good thing for him.
But is Yo believable as a heel? That's the problem. Between Sho and Yo, Sho was definitely the more believable heel, and to see him on Bullet Club kind of makes sense.
You never know.
With Yo, he's almost like a Natalia to me, where it's like you can go heel, but it's not believable. I don't feel that if Yo does go heel with this, that it would be a good look for him. But maybe he could surprise me. I like being pleasantly surprised.
You never know. You could
Mhm.
you end up both tag team partners end up heel in the end, but you never know.
Hey,
So
maybe
we're
all
gonna
four of them say screw their units and make their own.
well get rid of Togo. Leave Togo behind, please God. Leave Togo
Yeah.
behind. But yeah, so we're gonna move on to the next match of the evening. It is Douki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Suzuki Gun taking on the Bullet Club's Chris Bay, Ace Austin. Again, another thing where I gushed about Chris Bay and Ace Austin already. I'm not going to do it again, but again, at least that team is wonderful. And the first night I was a little on Douki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Tonight I was more impressed with both these guys, and Kanemaru's satellite DDT, so good. But in the end, spinning enziguri by Chris Bay, and then Ace tosses him into the cutter, and Ace Austin hits the fold, gets the win, and gives his team 4 points.
Yes, a total, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, overall.
What, 4? 2. 4
That's
total,
his team,
though.
4 points. I mean, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add except for Kanemaru. He's always been one of my favorite. I love Douki and Kanemaru. Kanemaru did seem at one point frustrated. I don't know if I'm maybe reading that wrong, but it did seem at one point he stopped selling
Sort of,
throughout
yeah.
the match. Yeah, but then regained his speed. I don't know if something happened in that moment, but that was the only thing that I noticed that was weird. The other thing, the last thing, Douki was like a torpedo when he did his little tope suicida there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm coming around on Douki. I'm not going to use the other name. I don't think I'm going to use the other name until he pisses me off again. So
we'll know when you're mad.
Until he does something that makes me annoyed, then you'll hear the other name. But we're going to move on to the main event of the second night of the Super Juniors, and it is my pick because 3 of these men I have been absolutely fans of for a while, and then Al Lindaman just boom, like this guy's great. This was funny. This was athletic. It took your heart away. It took your breath away. Like just such a wonderful match. So, well, okay, I got a couple spots here. There is where is it? Oh, here it is. The Lindaman biting the wrist of TJP, then giving it to Alex Zayne on the apron, who bites on the wrist and holds it, then gives it back to Lindaman, and he bites on the wrist. But that's where TJP reverses and gets the wrist of Lindaman, and Alex Zayne is like facing the crowd with his hand out, waiting for TJP's wrist, and TJP hands him Al Lindaman's wrist, and he bites on Lindaman's wrist, and Lindaman start yelling, and then that's when Zayne turns around, like kind of looks at him, and he's like, "Oh no!" and he lets it go. Absolutely perfect comedy. It's those little things that it didn't take away from a very exciting match, because it was in the early part building to when everything really picked up, and just I absolutely thought it just a great funny little spot, but it works so well to who Lindaman and Zayne really are. I'm finding who Lindaman is, and it's perfect to who Zayne is for the man I've seen over the last little while that I've gotten to watch him. And then there was a spot where TJP like sets him up with almost sharpshooter, but then transitioned it into like it's the tie up to go back for the Muda lock, but he's falling to the mat and like stretching the knee of Lindaman, and then Alex Zayne comes in and starts chopping TJP as he falls. So he's hurting his teammate, and then he'll pull TJP up and do it again. So he's hurting his teammate the entire time, and it's just funny to watch it. But then TJP catches him at the end, hits a backdrop on Zayne while doing the move again. And then I noticed at one spot when Akira is in the ring with Lindaman, and he goes over to the apron and he yells at Alex Zayne. He's like, and he starts yelling at him, calling him a heavyweight. So this whole "is he a junior" thing continues. So, and he goes, literally, Akira is yelling at him, calling him heavyweight. I was just laughing at that point. I'm like, what? This was actually really early, but yeah, like just some of the crazy stuff from these guys. Yui got this beautiful, if you know the move Skull and Bones from the Bullet Club, where it's the neck breaker and the splash combo, where they did the neck breaker and the stomp combo off the top. Beautiful. But yeah, Zayne does beautiful Rana, did like off of Kira's in the corner, and Zayne launches off TJP, who's kind of down in the corner, and Rana's Akira off the top, and then does a release suplex to TJP, throwing him onto Akira, who he ends up splashing onto Akira, and then Lindaman picks up TJP and Germans his ass. Like, just it's just the flow of it all between all these men is just so absolutely great. Zayne with a beautiful V trigger to TJP, but Zayne gets super kicked by Akira, and then he clotheslines Akira down, like, and then he takes out both men to the outside. Just the moves going back and forth with all these guys, it was just phenomenal. The end of the match, Zayne went for some sort of suplex, but TJP ended up turning into a victory roll and gets the win. So again, that's 2 matches in a row that they haven't been able to get their finisher off, the Leaning Tower, that they've had to win by a victory roll or a jackknife cover. They've had to win in a very different fashion than what you usually see this team win in. I really, really liked it. And again, it's showing that these teams can step up and really give a challenge to the champions. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm. And just imagine the pop that they're going to get when they finally do pull off that finish, right?
Oh God, I really hope it's on to Togo,
just for like a little extra Christmas present.
Yeah.
There was one point I just first of all got to praise the hell out of Lindaman. His amateur background, traditional wrestling background, is just absolutely flawless. But like his judo toss that he followed up immediately with a DDT, just so like seamlessly, was just
that one where he grabs the arm and lifts the guy up behind him and then flips him over the front of him.
Flings him, yeah.
That's how I think that was a setup for his win on the first, or at the for the first win on the first night. Yeah,
it was
for the cinnamon twist. Yeah, just impressive.
Also, like TJP, I just want to take a second to praise the fracking hell out of him. His style is just so amazing. The transitions, he is just so good at quickly and seamlessly and like almost, I don't want to say arrogantly because that would insinuate he's not nice. He does it in such a way that he's almost like he gets you to the end and be like, "What, you did not see that coming?" Like, but it's in a nice way because he's so handsome. Like, I love it. Like he's a very great combination, I feel, of a traditional kind of wrestling move, but the lucha style as well. I've not seen something as great since Eddie Guerrero.
So I'm going to make a mention on TJP here. This man started wrestling at the age of 13 in 1998. He wrestled for New Japan in the dojo early on. He got trained by Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, worked for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, multiple stints in New Japan, WWE in the cruiserweight stuff, has worked in and out of Mexico for CMLL and other companies. Mm-hmm. This man has like done I think, wrestled in every kind of style of professional wrestling you can think of, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And he is absolutely, like, if it wasn't for Sabre and Will Ospreay, this man would probably be at the top of my list. He's up in that top 5 echelon now because I'm just insanely impressed by this man. Or I guess an MRB there too. That stops him from being in my top 3, but just so good.
You mentioning Akira yelling at Zayne, he was actually the one that I noticed the size difference the most. In that, like,
because Akira's tiny.
Yeah, Akira's very, very tiny. I mean,
he's not the biggest guy, and Akira's small.
He's not them growing.
like TJP's not the biggest guy, but Akira's smaller than him. So it's like, holy, like the size difference between those two. And he's screaming heavyweight at him. And I'm like, kind of is.
Yeah, when he's standing, but I feel like I could probably be ahead. No, that's not true. He's probably as tall as I am. But like a regular human being standing next to Akira is probably a heavyweight. He seems very, very tiny. But
yeah, very much
again, so. The size difference, very laughable. Very laughable.
After the match, we didn't get a speech from the Empire, though. I noticed. I was kind of clicking through to see it, but I
did notice that also.
Yeah, so maybe it was just time limits. They had to get out of the building. They had to get the people out of the building because, as I watched the video, they got the people in the building moved out very quickly after the show. So
very organized. Yeah. I'm very intimidated about potentially going to one of these shows and being like, oh my god, where do we go? How do we get? Just follow the person next to you and hope for the best.
Just don't follow me because it'll be a trouble. But before we get off of this, Chris Bay and Ace Austin, and then Catch 22's Francesco, Akira, and TJP, both with 4 points. Then you have Lindaman and Alex Zayne, Kevin Knight and Kushida, Teton and Bushi, Wild Hips is Clark Connors and Ryusuke Taguchi, Leo Wenyo, and Flying Tiger. All with 2 points, and then you have Douki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru and the House of Torture Crap Fest with 0 points.
Whiskey Sticks. That's called Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Douki Whiskey Sticks.
Like, I have another name in my head, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want you to hit me. But I want to give one more.
Come to this camera.
I want to give one more big shout out to our sponsor, Rogue Energy, down there in the right-hand corner. Scan the QR code, use the code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. And thank you so much to our friends at our local establishment for bringing us in on this. And yeah, thank you very much to Rogue Energy. And then I want to thank our friends at up there-ish, they're that way, the other way. No, OLE. I'm going to OLE first. Going to our local establishment, you can find them on Instagram at OLE Podcast, on Twitch, where you can find us every once in a blue moon doing streams for our show, doing on twitch.tv/our local establishment. If you go back into the archives on Twitch or onto the OLE podcast page or YouTube page, you will be able to find myself joined by our good friend Ed and our good buddy Bobby talking on our brand new show Marvel Talk to we are talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that would have aired on Twitch as if you're seeing it yesterday. And yeah, it
was Cody Defoe, wasn't it?
No, Cody was on the first episode. Bobby is joining us on this episode.
Oh, right. You filmed the second one, right? This is the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's the Guardians one. The Guardians one, yeah. So you haven't watched it yet. That's why.
No, I haven't.
Because that's actually in the future.
We've got all this amazing content coming out on Olay here. We got to keep up on everything coming out. We got shows coming out on the daily. So you got to keep an eye out on these guys. Speaking of keeping an eye out, Andre, if anybody wants to keep an eye out on you.
Before we do that, I want to give one more shout out to our good buddy, Mike the Ref, over at Backbreaker Media. You can check him out on YouTube, Backbreaker Video, up in the top right corner. It'll be in the description. And you can check him out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. Every Wednesday, he does the AEW watch along. And then other days of the week, he is playing video games like heck. And he is wonderful to watch. Great human being. Please support him. And he has this jack.org campaign still going to the end of the month. If we get to $1,500, he is doing his Just Dance stream. He will do it in a panda suit.
Yes, the link will
So
be in the
let's get it to
description box
1,500.
below because we want to see a panda.
Panda dance.
So again, Andre, if people are wanting to follow you, where can they find you, my friend?
You can find me on Instagram at that Canada dude, on Twitter at that Canada guy, on I guess Mastodon and whatever the other new social medias. I'm going with at that Canada guy, so search me up on those. I'm ever as all these new social medias pop up to replace Twitter, I'm gonna sign up just so I can get the name I want. But just search that Canada guy on those, and then you can find me on Facebook at Andre Como.
Awesome. And for this Melball, you can find me on Twitter at Collins Melball. You can find me on Instagram at Melball Collins. You can also find me on Facebook under Melball Collins. And you can find both Andre and my fan page at Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk. We'll have all of those links linked in the description box down below. Yeah, you can see our cool logo up there. We're doing posts every day of all of our features, our shorts, and any other kind of fun stuff that we feel like talking to you about. You don't want to miss out on that. And Andre, is there anything else that we want to say to the lovely people?
I want to say thank you to everybody who has watched the video. I want to say thank you to you, Melball, for joining me here. And I want to welcome everybody back this coming Wednesday. We will be reviewing 2 nights of the Stardom Tag League. And then this coming Friday, we are going to be covering 4 nights of the World Tag League and Super Junior. It's going to be 4 nights of wrestling, 25 matches. We will not be covering all of them. We will be we are going to be giving you 2 matches from each show we want the highlight for you to watch. So, but there's 25 matches that me and Mel are watching this weekend. So
good times. Good time to be a wrestling fan, let me tell you.
Very much so.
Well, that being said, I am your Melball. That is your Andre. We will see you next time. Adios.